Wait. Almost 20 years ago, I wasn't a travel blogger then. I came up with a list of the cities that I wanted to visit, and Cape Town was in that list only because I was blown away by it in pictures. But now, we finally set foot here, and I'm telling you, Cape Town gave us wonderful moments etched in our memory forever. Hey there, poor traveler, we are Vince and Josh. We've been travel blogging for the past 14 years and South Africa is our country number 59. But before we begin, we consistently publish informative videos, so if you're new here or you simply haven't subscribed yet, please take the time to do just that. Subscribe to this channel, ring the bell beside it, and select all so you're always in the know whenever we have new uploads. If you're watching this on Facebook, join our million-strong community by liking and following our page too. Okay, back to the video. We're focusing on Cape Town, perhaps the most scenic city we've seen. But what it offers goes beyond its picture-perfect views. It gives you the feels and does something to you. It can make you wonder whether you're now a wine person or make you want to try to take home a penguin. Please don't. Let me tell you this early that we weren't able to visit Robben Island or join a Marine Big 5 tour because the weather didn't cooperate. But still, Cape Town dished out awesome moments that we'll be talking about long after the trip because meh isn't an option in a city this amazing. Here are 10 of them. If Cape Town had a beach that wanted to be the main character, this would be it. It has everything you could ask for in a shore. White sands, turquoise waves, and palm trees framed by the jaw-dropping 12 Apostles Mountains in the background. If you have more time, you could lounge on the sand, sunscreen and sunglasses on. Once you've worked up an appetite, the strip along Victoria Road is here to spoil you with its trendy cafes, cocktail bars, and seafood spots. Our stay here was pretty short, but the view from this lookout alone was so breathtaking, it's living rent-free in my head since our visit. No Cape Town itinerary is complete without a day trip to the winelands, the region known for its, well, wine. With its vast rolling vineyards, it's no surprise the grape takes the center stage here. You can go wine tasting at the Anthony Rupert Wines or just enjoy a glass with a sumptuous meal at Werf Restaurant in the Boschendal Estate. But if you want a break from all the whining, we know where you should go. Tucked away in the beautiful Lomorong State is the Franschhoek Motor Museum, a treasure trove for car enthusiasts.
Maybe one of the cars will remember, maybe you'll say, it's, my father had one of these or my grandfather. Maybe. So the museum started in 1975 by Dr. Anton Rupert. That was in Heidelberg. So that's other side of Johannesburg. Then 2003, that's when he decided to close the museum down. Then his son, Johan Rupert, bought over his father's collection and he brought it here.
It is almost the entire automotive history housed in a couple of showrooms. With over 220 vehicles on display, it's like taking a trip through time. From early 20th century classics to sleek modern sports cars that make you insecure about your bank account. While I do know how to drive, I'll be honest with you, cars aren't my thing. My expertise begins and ends at four wheels and that you drive them. But somehow, despite my utter indifference and profound ignorance, I still had the time of my life drooling over these cars like I knew what I was doing. I took my time gawking at everything from vintage Rolls Royces to Ferraris to McLarens and other legendary speed machines. It's like an auto crash course or my cultural education. An indoctrination, if you will, Franschhoek style. Plus, the setting adds a level of class and charm. If you're in Cape Town and need a break from the typical winery visits, the Franschhoek Motor Museum is the perfect pit stop for anyone with a need for speed or at least an appreciation for really shiny things. When you're traveling, sometimes you stumble upon something curious, fascinating, or downright odd. And I don't know which of those words best describes this next item on this list. Or maybe this, heaven. No, really, the name of the place is Heaven, Heaven Cafe. And I thought it was apt and funny considering that it's housed in a church. Yes, a legit and functioning church. We were on the way back to our hotel when we passed by the Central Methodist Mission Church, and I noticed that there's a cafe beside it. We would have ignored it until I noticed it wasn't really beside the church, but inside the church. So even when we weren't in the mood for coffee that time, we entered for a piece of heaven. And yes, there are tables and chairs set in the area just behind the pews where you could enjoy a cup of coffee. Truth be told, we didn't have a lot of expectations here, but surprisingly, we really did find our cups tasty. Vince ordered their best-selling flat white, which was velvety and milky, but not too milky to overpower the espresso. I had hot chocolate, and I loved it because, well, at the risk of sounding my age, it wasn't too sweet. But here's the thing. Not too far away from here stands another church, St. George's Cathedral, and in its basement is a jazz club called The Crypt. Yes, a jazz club inside the church. These are just a few of the quirks that make Cape Town interesting, and you'll find more as you explore. The city center or city bowl alone has plenty of attractions for tourists, including Bocap, a pastel-colored neighborhood which serves as the center of Cape Malay culture, Castle of Good Hope, a fortress and the oldest building in town, built in the 17th century, Long Street, lined with Victorian buildings, hip cafes, vintage shops, and some of the city's best bars, the District 6 Museum, which tells the story of the forced removals and displacements during the apartheid era, and the Green Market Square, the go-to if you're looking for African souvenirs. We'll be creating a separate video about all these attractions within the City Bowl, so subscribe and watch out for that. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to sample various African cuisines and entertainment under one roof, Gold Restaurant is the answer. As you enter the resto, you'll be greeted by a festive sensory explosion, the sight of colorful traditional decors, the thumping beating of the drums, and the mouth-watering smell of your upcoming feast. And when I say feast, I mean it. Because here, you'll be served a 14-course meal. Yes, 14 dishes, each representing various African cuisines arriving one after another. Starting with the rich and tasty South African tomato soup, which set the bar really high, to Malawian kandolo balls, to Namibian venison pie, to Moroccan tagine, to Congo mango and lime chicken. It's 14 highly diverse parade of dishes, so it's inevitable that you love some of them more than others. I have my favorites too, and a few letdowns, to be honest with you. And Gold doesn't do small plates. Every plate is a proper serving, so you'll really be full by the end of it. But this isn't just a place to eat. It's where you come to get smacked in the face, gently of course, by the beauty and energy of Africa. The best part? As you work your way through the dishes, performers dressed in vibrant costumes pop up around the restaurant, singing, dancing, and bringing stories of Africa to life. By the end of the night, we had clapped, danced, eaten, and laughed so much it was impossible to forget. Gold Restaurant is where Cape Town goes to celebrate Africa, one beat and bite at a time. Cape Town is a city that is picture perfect from any angle, be it from the water, earth, air. Yes, air. In fact, it looks especially magnificent when seen from above, which is why helicopter tours are so popular here. And why not? It's like taking a scenic drive through a dream, except instead of a car, you're in a sleek chopper, feeling like you're in the opening credits of an action movie. The views from the sky are, to put it mildly, absolutely next level. From here, you could spot easily recognizable landmarks like Table Mountain, Signal Hill, Lion's Head, Devil's Peak, the 12 Apostles, and the Cape Peninsula in the distance, sticking out the shimmering blue ocean. Prices vary depending on the route and duration, but the cheapest option will take you above and along the Atlantic seaboard from the V&A waterfront all the way to Camps Bay for 12 minutes. Prices can go as low as 2,420 Rand or around 140 US dollars, which is actually pretty affordable when compared to prices of helicopter rides in other destinations. Heck, even here in the Philippines, this costs more than double, sometimes triple. So Cape Town is actually a great place to experience a chopper tour, especially if it's your first time. It's a different perspective that not a lot of tourists get. Plus, you'll be soaring through the sky like you're too cool for gravity. I mean, how often do you get to take a helicopter ride in your life? Look, if you've traveled all the way to Cape Town, you might as well go all in and experience the place from every possible angle, right? There is always a weird feeling when you finally see in person something that you just used to read about when you were a kid. Perhaps it's a sense of fulfillment. And I can say the same about the Cape of Good Hope, a place that was mentioned a lot in my history books growing up as Africa's southernmost tip. But in reality, it's not the southernmost, but the southwesternmost. Cape Agulhas edges it out a bit further south. Regardless, when we finally set foot on it, I still had that feeling of, wow, I'm really here. I'm finally here. It's still historic and remarkable after all. When the Portuguese sailed here in the 15th century, they named it Cape of Storms because, well, storms are what usually greeted them here. It became so notorious for temperamental weather that the Portuguese king decided to change its name to Cape of Good Hope. Maybe it was a fantastic PR move or just a moment of optimism, but the name stuck. There really isn't anything much to do at Cape of Good Hope other than queuing for a quick photo with a marker or an easy climb up a nearby hill where you could watch the Atlantic mingle with the Indian Ocean. But it is part of the greater Table Mountain National Park, which is dotted with more attractions including Cape Point, where you could take the funicular to a lighthouse. It was not operational, the funicular was not operational during our visit, but this postcard-perfect lighthouse offers fantastic views. Both the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Point are staple stops in the usual Cape Peninsula tours, which will take you on a journey through some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the region, all the way from the city's vibrant heart to the rugged, dramatic tips of the peninsula. These tours usually also make a stop at a lookout for Chapman's Peak Drive, one of the most scenic roads in the world, winding along towering cliffs and overlooking the ocean, and Hout Bay, a quaint little harbor town where you can board a boat to catch a glimpse of the famous seal colony on Boulders Island. For lunch, the Seaforth restaurant is a favorite among operators and understandably so. They serve an appetizing selection of seafood like fish, squid, mussels, and prawns with rice and vegetables. And because it's situated on Boulders Beach, you can get a calming view of the sea. The staff are also warm and friendly too. But perhaps the best reason why it's a common food stop is its proximity to the next item on our list, and for me, the absolute highlight of this tour, the Boulders Beach Penguins. Yes, this is also often included in most Cape Peninsula tours. You might think penguins can only be found in Antarctica, but the truth is, certain species can be found in other southern continents. The colony here at Boulders Beach is made up of African penguins, and they have made themselves at home on one of South Africa's most stunning beaches. Unlike their ice-loving cousins, these little guys are living it up on the sandy shores. You'll see them preening themselves, flapping around, or simply embracing the sun. They waddle, they strut, they slide, they swim. Except this guy who seemed to be so determined to not get wet. And these two, who I think are looking for a more private spot to, I don't know, Netflix and chill maybe. A boardwalk will lead you through the colony so you can get up close and personal with these cute little dudes without disturbing their chill beach vibe. Get your camera ready because every moment feels like the perfect penguin pic. You're gonna need a lot of storage space on your phone for those pics. These penguins were once all over the southern coast of Africa, but their population was threatened over time. In 1982, a small group of these penguins stumbled upon Boulders Beach. The sheltered, calm waters surrounded by large granite boulders, hence the name, were perfect for nesting and breeding. Well, they didn't exactly waltz in with suitcases. They decided, yeah, we're living here now, and it has since become a sanctuary for them. By the early 2010s, their population had grown to over 2,000, so the local government stepped in, setting up eco-friendly measures to protect the penguins while letting humans gawk at them from a distance. On the way back, you might swing by Muizenberg Beach like we did. It's known for its colorful bathing huts, surfing activities, and whale sightings. We actually saw one from the viewpoint. Earlier in this video, we showed you the Gold Restaurant, which is always packed with tourists. Now, let us take you to a gastronomic spot that most Cape Townians we met vouch for. The Golden Dish is a beloved local food stop tucked in a part of the city that tourists don't normally go to. In fact, when we mentioned to our hotel staff that we were going here, they discouraged us. Thankfully, we had a guide who told us there really was nothing to be frightened about. So even when it was pretty stormy that day, we dropped by the Golden Dish before our flight. This iconic eatery has been around since 1969 and is known for its gigantic but affordable Gatsbys and Salomis. And when I say gigantic, I mean gigantic. Our guide Neil is a big guy, but look at that thing he's carrying. That's the Gatsby. And I kid you not, it probably weighs over 1 kilo. Tignan nyo guys, ang laki, pero mas malaki pa yung Gatsby. Ang laki na nga ng mukha ko, pero tingnan nyo, ang laki. Mas malaki pa to sa buong digestive system namin. Oh, a Gatsby is a South African submarine sandwich with chips or French fries and a choice of fillings like meat and sauces. But here at the Golden Dish, the best seller is their masala steak full house Gatsby, which is a slightly toasted baguette with sliced beef, spicy fries, eggs, onions, cheese, and other trimmings with masala gravy. It's so big that even if it's wrapped in 2 layers of paper, it is impossible to eat without making a mess. But the mess is worth it because it's the single most delicious thing we stuffed our face with on this Africa trip. It was wildly, insanely tasty. And then we have the Salomi, which was oozing with traditional mutton curry wrapped in thick roti. It was so scrumptious and perfectly seasoned, a little bit sweet, and a little bit tangy. It was like all the flavors were dancing, and while it is smaller and a tad easier to devour than the Gatsby, expect messy bites too.
Sarap. Promise.
Lekker. Lekker.
Lekker.
But it wasn't just the food that made our time here special. You see, the Golden Dish is a takeout place, so we expected to just go in and out, just order and then pick up our orders and go. But the owner, Mr. Parker, was probably intrigued by our filming that he invited us inside and see the kitchen. He also talked to us and narrated the history of the place.
Started in 1969 by my parents. My parents had 17 children. I'm number 6.
17 children.
7. I'm number 6. First son.
Oh.
Big man, eh?
The tagline is often eaten, always remembered. And although it sounds like your next Tinder or Grindr bio, it is true. I don't think we'd forget the Golden Dish ever.
So it's your first time here in South Africa?
First time in South Africa. But it's already our last day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it's
We're heading to the airport right now.
I would have taken you around locally.
267.
So for instance, this area here, Highlands, predominantly only Asian people live here.
Yeah, we noticed also.
Yes.
You know why? It was during apartheid. They brought all the Indians, put us here. And one or two other places. But in those days, if you were Indian, you could only live in the Indian area.
Yeah.
If you were white, you could only live in the white area. Yeah, anyway, nice meeting you guys, man.
There are many ways to explore Cape Town. You can do it by driving a car or by joining a group tour or by helicopter like we mentioned earlier. We've tried a lot during our stay there, but by far the most epic was by motorcycle. And not just bikes. Look at these guys. Yes, you can ride a Harley Davidson around Table Mountain. This area offers some of the most stunning and dramatic roads for a motorcycle ride, and doing it on a Harley makes it all the more exhilarating. But we were also more comfortable because we weren't the ones driving. Meet Mike and Pete. When they introduced themselves, they even joke that they look like they're from the Pawn Stars TV show. But they're really nice guys and very, very cool. Our ride started at V&A Waterfront, and after a quick briefing, they drove us the scenic mountainside, stopping at various jaw-dropping viewpoints along the way, including the Chapman's Peak Lookout, where we took in the fantastic vistas and snapped a lot of selfies. Then we looped around the base of the mountain, taking in the beauty of the city, the ocean, and those towering cliffs. A ride costs 1,450 Rand for 3 hours, inclusive of the rider fee, motorcycle fee, and fuel. There are many other options too, but it's super worth it, and it's a perfect blend of nature, incredible views, and the sort of badassery and freedom that only a Harley ride can give. At number 1, let's go on a sunset cruise. Sunset cruises are available in many destinations around the world, but something about doing it in Cape Town hits different. You're on a boat, the sun is setting over the Atlantic, and you're sailing past the iconic Table Mountain. It's basically the stuff Instagram dreams are made of. But it wasn't just the sights for us, it was the full sensory experience. Although we were sharing the boat with other tourists, it wasn't too crowded or loud. The waves weren't strong, just swaying gently, and the air was filled with the soothing melodies of Seal's Love is Divine and the romantic stylings of Kenny Latimore's For You. And yes, lest I forget, with a glass of champagne in one hand. All these while you're surrounded by Cape Town's gorgeous peaks, the sky transforms into a canvas of pink, purples, and fiery oranges, and you're in the company of your favorite person in the world. I'm not sure if I was just going through something that night, but apparently it was a bit too much for me. It wasn't the cruise per se, but Cape Town was our last stop on our Africa tour, and it was beginning to feel like the culmination of all the wonderful things we had experienced in the continent. And before I knew it, I just found myself tearing up for all the right reasons. Our stay in Cape Town was a mix of DIY and collab with Constellation Travels, and sure, Cape Town can absolutely be explored on your own. If that's your travel style and or you have a budget that is a little bit limited, that could be a great option. But if you want to go to South Africa to kick back and just enjoy, then booking a tour package is the way to go. It has some really solid perks. Constellation Travels, one of the Philippines' most established travel agencies, has been helping Filipinos discover the world since 1970. They offer a range of South Africa packages from group tours to custom itineraries, so you can skip the hassle of planning and focus on the most important part, enjoying your vacation. Exploring a new country can be a bit daunting, especially if your schedule is tight. If you'd rather relax than sort through the logistics, Constellation has you covered. They'll handle your visas, flights, and accommodations and offer 24/7 support, so you're always taken care of. Get in touch with Constellation Travels through these contact numbers and email address, or visit their official website at constellationtravels.com.ph. In our next video, we'll take you to Kruger National Park. If you don't want to miss that, subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, ring the bell and select all so you're notified when it's out. If you're watching this on Facebook, like and follow this page too. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. Just search at The Poor Traveler, single L. We also have a podcast. Follow The Poor Traveler podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's all for now. Remember, plan smart, travel safe, and make every trip worth it.